Welcome to Terrifying Tales, where your deepest fears come to life. Strap in as we guide you on a spine-chilling journey into the unknown. Prepare to question what you see, what you know, and most importantly, who you are. Let's delve into the abyss of the unimaginable, where mirrored realities await. Welcome to a world where reality is distorted, where your reflection is not your own. A world where the familiar becomes the unfamiliar, where the recognizable morphs into the unrecognizable. A world where the mirror is not just a reflective surface, but a portal to a parallel existence. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, the cool glass reflecting your image back at you. You see yourself, your familiar features, your own eyes staring back at you, but then you blink. And in that fraction of a second, something changes. Your reflection is no longer your own. It is you. And yet, it is not you. In this world of mirrors, who's the real you? Is it the person standing in front of the mirror, or the person staring back from within its depths? Is it the person who moves, talks and breathes? Or is it the person who mimics these actions with chilling precision? As we delve into this world of mirrored realities, we invite you to question your own reflection, to explore the terrifying possibilities that lie within the seemingly harmless act of looking into a mirror, to confront the unseen terror that lurks beneath the surface of your own reflection. Join us as we venture into a world of doppelgangers and spectral twins, a world where your mirror image is not your friend, but your enemy, a world where your reflection is not your ally, but your adversary. A world where the person you see in the mirror is not you, but a sinister entity with a life of its own. In this world, the mirror is not just a mirror. It is a window to a terrifying reality, a gateway to a realm of horror. It is a tool of deception, a weapon of fear. It is a harbinger of doom, a messenger of terror. So the next time you look into a mirror, ask yourself, who's the real you? Have you ever peered into the depths of a mirror, to be met by the cold gaze of a stranger hiding in your reflection? Have you ever been ensnared by the alien stare of your own eyes, the icy dread creeping up your spine? Can you comprehend the unnerving sensation of observing your mirror image, yet the face that leers back is unrecognizable? Visualize the terror that seizes your soul when you behold not your own countenance, but an uncanny doppelganger's, a face that perfectly mirrors your own, yet bears a horrifying certainty that marks it as grotesquely foreign. A face that mimics every detail of your appearance, but is tainted with bone-chilling secrets and malevolent intentions. The same features, the same eyes, the same grin, yet veiled within an ominous darkness, a pale spectral gloom that leaves you quaking in fear. Imagine a man, an average individual, the kind that merges into the crowd unnoticed. A man living in seeming peace, oblivious to the terrifying mysteries about to unravel his existence. A man who, like any of us, glances into his mirror each morning expecting nothing but the reflection of his own visage. But this man is tormented, haunted by a mirror-bound doppelganger. A once faithful mirror that echoed his life, his emotions, his soul, now imprisons a malevolent presence. A reflection that bears his likeness but is endowed with a sinister life all its own. This reflection, this ghostly double, is more than just a mirrored image. It is a phantom, an eerie entity that lurks within the glass, feasting on the man's dwindling sanity. It is a living, breathing monster, a manifestation of terror that haunts his every conscious moment and nightmares alike. An entity that dons the man's face but incubates an impenetrable darkness. The man watches, his eyes wide and petrified as his ghostly double moves independently. He witnesses it recreate his every move, yet distorting them into a haunting performance. He, as his mirrored self, conjures a spine-chilling grin that never reaches its eyes. This ghostly double, cloaked in mystery and terror, exists beyond reason, beyond reality. It is a phantom, a tangible nightmare that the man can neither comprehend nor evade. It is a haunting spectre that gnaws at his sanity, a relentless fear that devours his every thought. One day, the man found his reflection rebelling against his actions. His mirrored self remained still, defying the man's movements. Time seemed to suspend its march. The man found his reflection standing still. Its eyes, once a mirror of his own, now held a chilling abyss, a malevolent consciousness. His face bore a diabolically terrifying grin, and then the reflection grinned. A grin unlike any he had ever witnessed on his It was a grin that froze his blood, a cruel, taunting smirk that concealed unimaginable terror. It was a grin that foretold a horrifying future, a grin that resonated with impending doom. It was more than a mere grin. It was a declaration, a bone-chilling proclamation of the mirror entity's malevolent intent. It was a grin that sent shivers down his spine, that turned his blood to ice. It was a grin that promised nothing but despair, nothing but darkness, nothing but eternal torment. This is no ordinary reflection. This is a living, breathing monster, a spectral twin cloaked in mystery and terror. One day he found his reflection rebelling against his actions, standing still with a devilishly sinister grin. His reflection, no longer a harmless replica of his person, had morphed into a vehement entity. Thus opens our terrifying tale, where reality is warped and the peripheries of the normal world are stretched to the edge of the unfathomable. Our central character, a man of trivial routines and foreseeable habits, unexpectedly finds himself ensnared in a web of a chilling saga. His mirror projection, once a familiar source of comfort, morphs into a horrifying spectacle, inciting unease and terror. The man's mirror reflection embarks on a horrifying adventure of its own, unveiling a malevolent alter ego that existed in tandem with his existence. The face glaring back at him, which once merely mirrored his own, is now twisted into an evil smirk, the corners of its mouth curling in a manner his never did. It was dreadful, it was terrifying, it was a portrait of horror infiltrating his day-to-day life. The eyes of his reflection, previously unremarkable, now sparkled with a malicious intent. They held a depth of darkness that his own eyes were devoid of, and the horrifying part was he was cornered. Each morning at the mirror, each evening at the bedside, the unsettling image ominously welcomed its presence, injecting him with a potent sense of dread. As days morphed into weeks, the tension grew, akin to the oppressive fog on a bitter winter night, shrouding everything in its paralyzing grip. Even within his own home, he could feel the icy dread gnawing at his spine, a relentless reminder of the surreal nightmare he was entrapped in. He was subjected to a sequence of paranormal occurrences, events that scorned reason and logic. His own reflection, his sinister twin, was not content merely lurking within the glassy confines of the mirror. The reflection shattered the mirror's threshold, meddling with his life, wreaking havoc and disaster. It seemed as though his reflection revelled in a macabre game, deriving perverse pleasure from his suffering. Every noise in the house, every fluttering curtain, every flicker of light, every abrupt knock, it all fueled his escalating paranoia and mental torment. Gradually, the man's existence turned into a perpetuating horror show, a relentless state of terror. Confined within his own home, he was a hostage of his own life, his sense of security shattered, replaced by a paranoia that devoured him. Every corner concealed a menace, every sound a cause for panic, every shadow a lurking beast. His heart pounded incessantly at every unexpected sound, his sleep haunted by horrific dreams, his days laden with fear and anxiety. Teetering on the brink of madness, his mind was a war zone between the rational world he once knew and the horrifying reality he was trapped in. He attempted to seek help, to decipher the undecipherable, but how could he expect anyone to understand a tale so grotesque, so irrational? After all, who would believe a man tormented by his own reflection? His once ordinary, predictable life was now a descent into a never-ending nightmare from which there seemed to be no respite. His existence was upended, brutally invaded by the malevolent mirror entity that bore his own image. Cornered by his own malevolent twin, the man was tormented by the horror that his own reflection brought forth. And then, one damn night, his reflection stepped out of the mirror. This announced the onset of an even more terrifying chapter in his harrowing story, escalating the horror to an unprecedented level. As an icy shiver traced his spine, he bore witness to the aberration of his mirror image stepping into his universe. Hellish was the spectacle, a ghastly occurrence that spat in the face of reality's laws. It was akin to the nightmarish descent into an M.C. Escher sketch, where reason and physics were mere puppets to the artist's twisted imagination. His heart pounded like a death knell in the crypt-like silence of his room, a sombre metronome counting down the moments in a world that seemed to have lost its grip on time. A tidal wave of disbelief washed over him, an almost physical repulsion of the monstrous entity before him. His mind, clinging tightly to the rational and scientific, clawed desperately at the shadows to comprehend, to cage this phantom within the boundaries of understanding. It was a hellish struggle, a war waged within the prison of his intellect. With a gaze that could freeze blood, he observed the figure, dissecting its every grotesque detail. An exact replica, his mirror image had somehow manifested into a physical apparition. A confrontation with one's darkest fears is a descent into hell, a trial that strips bare the soul, revealing the vulnerable, raw core beneath. And for our protagonist, it was a journey through the 9 circles. The terrifying manifestation of his darkest fears, his deepest insecurities, stood before him. The doppelganger, a ghastly echo of himself, had breached the glass boundary, stepping over the line that separated the physical from the spectral. The spectacle was blood-curdling, a macabre parody of his own existence. The doppelganger bore his features, his mannerisms, even his clothing, but there was an eerie wrongness to it, an arcane quality that turned it into more of a waking nightmare than a dream. The eyes held a hollow stare, devoid of any emotion. It was as if he was staring into the abyss of his soul, naked and exposed to the harsh cruelties of existence. This encounter was a horrifying waltz with the unknown, a dance on the edge of the... But it was more than a dance, it was a duel, a clash against the self, a struggle against the nightmarish reflection. He watched as the doppelganger moved, its movements mirrored his own with a precision that sent chills down the spine. A grotesque dance of mirrors, a ballet of shadows, each step mirrored with haunting exactness. He was thrust into a battle, a test of sanity, a fight for his existence against the spectre of his own identity. Forced to confront the shadowy demons within, the battle threatened to swallow him whole, an emotional tempest that to rip him apart. The aftermath was a life forever marked by the sinister shadow of the encounter. The horrifying experience had scarred him deeply. His reflection, once a comforting symbol of his identity, had morphed into a source of dread, a persistent reminder of the ghastly event. His world was forever changed. The mirror, once a to the world, had become a gateway to hell. Each glance into it sent an icy shiver down his spine, a chilling reminder of the doppelganger, the ghastly echo of himself that had invaded his universe. And so he was left alone, forever tormented by the horror of his own reflection. His world had been shattered, his reality turned inside out. His image, once a comforting sight, had warped into a chilling spectre, a source of terror that lurked in every mirror. His own reflection, once an assurance of his existence, had become a horrifying embodiment of his darkest fears. His reflection, once his own, now belonged to the demon in the mirror. Doppelgangers, the chilling embodiment of our fears, our sins, our darkest corners. They are an enigma, a paradox of self, a mirror image that is not ourselves but something other, something sinister. They force us to confront our own demons, both in the literal and metaphorical sense. A terrifying yet fascinating concept. Remember, the next time you look into a mirror, beware of the stranger that might be staring back. We hope you enjoyed this terrifying tale. If it sent shivers down your spine, if it made you peer a little more closely into your own reflection, then we've done our job. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more spine-chilling stories, more journeys into the abyss of the human psyche. If you dare, that is. Like this video and share it with your friends who love a good scare. We're sure they'll appreciate the nightmare fuel. And don't forget to leave a comment below about what you thought of this video. Did it frighten you, intrigue you, perhaps even made you question your own reflection? We're eager to hear your thoughts. Stay scared, my friends, and until next time, remember, the greatest horrors are the ones we carry within us. We'll see you in the next video.